Sorry I've been away for a while, guys. I was kidnapped and forced to play Final Fantasy VII against my will for 3 days straight. But I'm back now, so nothing to worry about. So the channel Freedom Angst turned me onto this channel PragerU. I'd never heard of it before, but it's pretty good, so we're gonna tear it apart.
If God exists, then the world didn't just evolve by chance, but by deliberate design.
Since he used the word evolve, I assume he's talking about life, so that's how I'm going to address it. The world didn't evolve by chance anyways. There's this stupid idea spread by Christian leaders that evolution means throwing some dice and picking an outcome based on the results. Evolution operates on non-random, natural selection. They hear this word random and assume it means it all happened by chance. It had nothing to do with chance. Also, he's acting like evolution is some sentient thing with intention. Right out of the gate, this guy's proving how much of a fuck-up he is. Let's keep going and hope it gets better.
If God exists, we're living in a great story, an epic like The Lord of the Rings, with real heroes and heroic tasks.
Oh, this is fucking fantastic. Did he just compare the Bible to The Lord of the Rings? Yeah, that seems right. It's a pretty accurate comparison. Magical powers, fictional characters, and God playing the role of Sauron.
Ultimately, all the twists and turns of this epic narrative will be paid off. Everything will make sense. It will even have a happy ending. Not necessarily, or even likely, in our own lifetime.
It will make sense? Because it sure as fuck doesn't make sense right now. And that's what's being implied by saying that it will make sense. I'm glad we're on the same page here.
Even Moses didn't get into the promised land, but over the grand course of time, in an afterlife, which exists as surely as God exists.
Which means not at all. Still on the same page.
If God exists, the presence of evil, hard as it is to accept, makes sense.
Evil is kind of an amorphous term. What the fuck do you mean when you say the presence of evil? Are you specifically talking about an evil being? And why the fuck does it make sense? Nothing about this makes any sense at all. We've just been surrounded by these fairy tales our entire lives, so they don't sound as obnoxiously odd to us as they would to, say, Aborigines, for example.
God allows it for a reason, namely to preserve our free will.
What? Why would there need to be evil to preserve free will? Couldn't God just make us more caring beings so that we wouldn't have the desire to commit evil acts? We can be good without losing our free will. And on that note, doesn't that mean that when we get to heaven, we won't have free will? Is that what's being said here? Every fucking thing this guy says is stupid as shit. This video is going to be like 20 minutes long because I'm going to stop every 5 seconds.
And God will reconcile all injustices in the end. If there is no God, life is one big crapshoot.
I'm sorry you see it that way, but the fact is that God doesn't exist, and it doesn't feel like a crapshoot to me.
If God does exist, morality is a real, objective feature of the world. If there is no God, morality is just the rules we make up for this little game of life that we play.
Well, obviously everybody seems to have a different opinion on what's moral and what isn't. Just look at what ISIS is doing right now. They believe we're the immoral ones. Morality is a big long discussion that I'm not going to get into right now. Let me just say that morality is based on empathy, and it's something that we evolved. Morality came out of a necessity to work well together.
If God exists, love is the nature of an eternal reality. If there is no God, love is just a fleeting feeling, no more than a bunch of chemical and neurological interactions.
This guy is just using word salad. Love is the nature of an eternal reality? I know what those words mean individually, but they don't make sense when put together in a sentence. Love is the nature of an eternal reality. Doesn't marriage end when you die? Until death do you part and all that shit.
If God exists, you are of infinite value. He knows you as a parent knows his child. He's accessible to you. If there is no God, each of us is as insignificant as a rock on an unknown planet.
That is a really self-centered way of looking at things. Actually, it makes me think of the whole geocentrism thing. The Catholic Church wanted to kill Galileo for claiming that the Earth wasn't the center of the solar system, because it displaced us as the center of everything. We have to move past our arrogance and self-centered mindset and see the world for what it is. Also, this has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not God is real. The old appeal to consequences fallacy. Just putting that out there.
If God exists, death is conquered, because if there is a God, there is a reality outside of space and time. If there is no God, there is nothing immortal, and all the good things in life are destroyed forever.
How do you know that? There could very well be something outside of this universe. There could be things that are immortal. We don't know. You can't make a claim like that and not provide evidence to back that claim up.
You and everyone you love and everything you think matters are all consigned to oblivion.
Here we go. Everybody ready for the fear-mongering?
If there is no God, life is pointless. Everything we've done and lived for will ultimately be in vain.
We all find our own meanings for life. The meaning in my life is my daughter. Beyond that, I want to contribute knowledge and logic to the world. Who are you to tell me my life is meaningless?
Can I prove with an absolute certainty that God exists? I can make the case that overwhelming evidence suggests that he does.
No, you can't, because it doesn't.
But no, I can't prove that he exists with absolute certainty.
You're goddamn fucking right you can't.
That's likely part of his plan. God deliberately doesn't give us absolute proof, so that we're free to choose or not to choose to believe in him.
Oh, come on. Couldn't we choose to worship or not worship him if we knew? How ridiculous is this? This is as bad as people that say the dinosaur fossils were put there by God to test our faith. If God's real, he created me with a logical brain that pulls things apart. He'll understand why I didn't believe in him. Because it's a big bullshit fairy tale. You might as well be worshipping Little Red Riding Hood.
So, which way do you want to go? Be honest, doesn't your heart at least hope that there is a good God? A transcendent validator of love and all the highest human values?
I'm not sure what he means by my heart wants it. My heart doesn't want anything. I want my heart to keep pumping blood to my body. Beyond that, my heart doesn't have any other function. But I take the point. Some people legitimately think that having a God would be terrible. Like Christopher Hitchens, for example. But I would love it if Christianity were true. I don't want to die. We have a biological instinct to keep on living. Just because I want something to be true doesn't mean it's true. It's not.
Of course it does. Why would anyone not wish that life has some ultimate purpose?
My life has a purpose. Now, I know what's being implied here, that in 1,000,000 years my life will have had very little effect on things ultimately. But there's nothing I can do to change that. It is what it is. He's trying to scare us into believing it. Unfortunately, belief isn't a choice, it's a conclusion. I want everybody watching this to believe me when I say that I can survive indefinitely without oxygen. You can't, because you know something about biology. It's a conclusion you reached. No matter how much money I'll pay you to believe it, you won't actually honestly believe it until I can prove it to you.
That good and evil are real, that there is ultimate justice, that our love for others means something.
Why would I want good and evil to be real? I'm not sure I understand that one. And as for the others, it doesn't matter how much I want it to be true. Is it true is the question. No, it's not. So ultimately, it's a pointless question.
If you choose to live as if there is a God, even if you're not sure that there is a God, you'll lose nothing and you gain everything. Religious Christians and Jews are happier, live longer, and are more charitable than their less observant or secular fellow citizens.
Okay, I looked up his sources. The Center on Wealth and Philanthropy is a religious research center at Boston College, the place this guy comes from. So the charitable giving and religious attendance study is not from an unbiased source. That one's out. Generally, I trust Pew with most things, but they're complicated. Religious attendance and happiness are correlated, but correlation doesn't mean causation. Self-professed happiness also goes up if you're married, if you're Republican, and if you make over $100,000 per year. And the third study, National Health Review Survey, that's part of the CDC, so I'll include it as trustworthy, even though I couldn't find the study itself. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt and include it. So what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't speak to the efficacy of the claim, which is all I care about. Is God real? No, he's not. They're just trying to scare us into believing it. A lost cause.
These are not my opinions. These are the findings of a multitude of scientific studies.
We just went over this. Some are cherry-picked at best, and one is falsified at worst. Besides, it doesn't matter. Do these studies tell us if it's true?
If you've been an atheist for a while, it may be difficult for you to change your thinking, even if you find some merit in the many rational arguments for God's existence.
There are no rational arguments for God's existence.
But you can change your behavior. You can live as if God exists, even if you hold doubts. Why not? As I said, you'll lose nothing, and you have everything to gain.
Bullshit! What about all the hate that invariably comes with being a Christian? And the more Christians there are in this country, the worse things get. Child abuse and public policy changes are the two things that concern me the most. What about sex ed classes? I do not want my daughter learning about abstinence instead of scientific facts. And I reiterate, is it true? No, it's not true. That's all that matters to me. Not only that, but you have to actively deny science to believe in God. Evolution is a fact. The Big Bang is a fact. Christianity is on the defensive here. When Christianity comes out of the Dark Ages and realizes that science is the only way through which we can know the world around us, it will dissolve into thin air.
This behavioral approach is far from new. The Jews have long had a saying, "We will do, and we will understand," which acknowledges that action often precedes understanding. So why not begin with an action?
I'm a psychology major right now, and you're just telling me how to brainwash myself. You're telling me how to alter my beliefs through actions, even if I know those beliefs are false. I'm not doing that. That's similar to cognitive behavioral therapy, where you change your thinking, and your actions change as a result of that.
Why not pray the prayer of the skeptic?
Because I just explained how it's a brainwashing technique?
God, if you exist, you must know that I am not a believer. So, please, God, give me the gift of faith, in your time and in your way. I want to believe whatever is true. Amen.
Yeah, everybody go ahead and talk to yourselves now.
If you say that and mean it, and give it some time, be prepared, because he will not ignore that prayer.
If you say that and mean it, and give it time, be prepared, because the brainwashing will kick in.
Go on, say it. Find a private place and say it. Your Creator is listening.
You're a fucking creep, bro. This seems like the kind of dude you would find outside of a school in a panel van, passing out candy. If you liked this, you can subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Just click the annotations.